It's SummerSlam live from Detroit, and it gets off to an extraordinary start. Logan Paul and Ricochet are tearing it up, and Ricochet, dressed like a puma, shows exactly why. He's flying everywhere, and Logan is super impressive as well. He shows he can fly too. He stuns the crowd with pure athleticism, and once again, he shows out. But this is Ricochet, one of the most athletic wrestlers of all time, and he one-ups him at every opportunity. But Logan is poised. He springboards off, but misses Ricochet and collects the referee instead. He's down, and Ricochet tries to grab Logan, but Logan drops him with a right hand, and Logan deviously goes out to get a weapon. He's going to put Ricochet away in the worst possible way. It's LA Knight! He walks out to ringside. Logan is beside himself. He leaps out at LA Knight, but he moves. Logan is in trouble, and Knight drops him on the outside, picks him up, rolls him in the ring, and Ricochet has now recovered and climbed the top. He nails the 630, and Logan gets exactly what he deserves. Ricochet wins with the aid of the megastar. And it sets up a potential future battle between Logan and Knight that is tantalizing. But speaking of tantalizing, the main event later tonight will be as well. And Roman is backstage with the Wise Man and Solo Sikoa, and it is tense. My tribal chief, it's not too late to... Paul, enough. In fact, both of you, leave me alone. I don't want you out there, and I don't want you in here. Tribal combat is 1-on-1. But before we can get to that main event, the next clash is the first title match of the night between Asuka, Bianca Belair and Charlotte. And this one doesn't disappoint at all either. These women have been at each other's throats for weeks, and it's an instant classic given the immense talent of all three. It's so even, no woman can get a distinct advantage. It's back and forth, and there's close calls all round. But the way it culminates is extraordinary. Charlotte leaps off the top rope with a corkscrew and wipes out Asuka on the outside. She slides back in the ring, and Bianca is groggy. Charlotte takes her down, and it's time. She locks in the figure eight. Bianca is writhing in pain. Charlotte is going to add another championship to her resume. But then Asuka slides in, and as the referee is distracted, looking at Bianca, asking if she wants to tap out, Asuka hits Charlotte with the mist. Charlotte's eyes are burning, and she's still tangled up with Bianca, and Asuka covers Charlotte. The referee then notices, he makes the count, and unbelievably, Asuka steals the win. It is brilliant, it is devious, and Asuka retains her championship. But speaking of devious, backstage right after, it's Grayson Waller, and he's doing a roaming Grayson Waller effect, and he stumbles across none other than the almighty Bobby Lashley. And he interrupts a meeting between Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. They walk away, but Lashley doesn't. And he's not happy about getting interrupted, and he says, "The hell do you want, Waller?" And Waller says, "Ha, relax, mate. Oi, so what's going on with you and these boys, eh? Doing some business or what, eh?" No one cares, mate, honestly. Talk to me about what you've been doing lately. You've been pretty boring, mate. You've done nothing. How's that for nothing? Now I want to ask you, what are you gonna do? Lashley not taking any of Waller's antics, and he wanders off. But closely behind him is LA Knight again, fresh off his confrontation with Logan Paul, and he says, "Ha, what a shame that wasn't me. How about you keep LA Knight's name out of your mouth as well, Waller? Dummy." Absolutely no nonsense from the almighty or LA Knight. And when you talk no nonsense, you have to also be talking about the showdown between Gunther and Drew McIntyre for the Intercontinental Championship. And it's complete physical carnage in this one. Gunther and McIntyre are two of the most physical beings on the roster, and they beat the hell out of each other. It's pure in-ring war. This match is everything you'd expect from two beasts. There's chops, right and left hands, there's kicks, they land everything. They batter and bruise each other, and unsurprisingly, it's that physicality that brings the match to an abrupt end. Gunther lands a massive chop to Drew that buckles him. He then picks him up, smashes him with a devastating powerbomb, usually the end for most. But Drew kips up and he screams in the face of Gunther. He fires off the ropes and nails Gunther with a claymore, usually the end for most. But Gunther gets up as well and he screams into the face of McIntyre. They just won't wilt, but they're forced to. They both lean back and they both land headbutts. They both collapse to the mat and they are both out. They've given everything and the referee counts and the match is a draw. Nothing separating either man. Gunther grasps onto the Intercontinental Championship and the chance to beat Honky Tonk Man's record still intact, but only barely. And Becky Lynch has barely made it through the hurdles put in front of her by her opponent, Trish Stratus, to land the next match. Undoubtedly, one of the GOATs of the women's division versus a future Hall of Famer. And it's gotten seriously personal between both, and it shows. They fight all over the stage. You can feel the hatred through the screen and in the arena. But as expected, Trish hasn't rolled into Detroit alone. And it isn't long before Zoe Stark tries to interject herself into the match, and she's successful. Becky gets baited in, and it gives Trish the chance to capitalize. And even when Becky is able to fight back into it, Stark keeps getting involved and being a nuisance, until the cavalry arrives. Lita is back. She runs up the steps, onto the apron, and leaps off at Stark and hits a Hurricane Rana on the outside. Trish is beside herself in the ring. She's yelling at Zoe to help, and it gives Becky the perfect opening. She takes her down and disarms Trish Stratus. She's forced to tap out, and Trish is thwarted by the man and one of her most famous rivals. But the famous rivalries don't even stop there, as Cody Rhodes enters into the final chapter with the Beast. And SummerSlam is Brock's domain. He's had some of his biggest and most brutal victories here, and this is looking absolutely no different. He brutalizes Rhodes. He throws him all over the ring. German suplex after German suplex. It's akin to the John Cena domination of years past. Cody is right up against the odds. Lesnar has him in the corner, runs at him, but Cody moves and Lesnar gets caught in the top rope. It's a small opening, but it's an opening nonetheless. And Cody throws what he has left at Lesnar. He's hurting, but he's wearing down the Beast. He gets on top, but not for long enough. He gets another German, and another. Cody is basically out. It's all but over, except for one more thing. Lesnar wants one final F5 as an exclamation mark. Cody slips out the back. He hits Lesnar with a crossroads, but he knows he needs more. He picks him up and he lands one more. Cody has him on the rack. Again, he knows this is Brock Lesnar. He needs one more. He picks him up and he lands the final full stop on this chapter. Rhodes barely gets over the line. He pins the Beast. He proves that even in the face of adversity, you can still conquer your fears and overcome. The Nightmare triumphs, but little does he know, the nightmare has just begun. This is truly a nightmare. The whole roster is on notice with the return of Bray Wyatt. Just like the whole women's division has been on notice for weeks, the change of heart from the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. And she enters into not a match, but a fight against Ronda Rousey up next. And it's MMA rules, knockout or submission only. And it is on right away. Both women have extensive experience and it shows. Both women are incredibly dangerous with submissions, but it's Baszler on the feet that does the big damage. She lights her up with combinations. She outclasses Rousey there, but it evens up on the ground with a Rousey takedown. And it's a scramble. But this is Rousey's wheelhouse. She grabs the arm, locks in the armbar, and it has to be over. Barely anyone ever escapes. She's won so many matches this way, and Baszler is so driven and determined and uses her technique that she's able to escape. She grabs Rousey's back and locks in the Kirifuda clutch. It's in tight, and Rousey fades and eventually goes to sleep. Baszler silences the critics. She silences everyone who blindly associates everything she does with Ronda Rousey. She puts the rivalry to bed, and we can move on to bigger and better things. Just like Austin Theory would like to do against Rey Mysterio. He wants to put another legend away like he did John Cena at WrestleMania. And it's on another massive stage. And Theory gets off to a dominant start. He overpowers Rey and he looks good, taking all the shortcuts he can. He tries putting his feet on the ropes, but that fails. He tries holding onto the tights in a roll-up, but that fails as well, and Rey kicks out. And Theory, starting to get frustrated, gets desperate. And he starts to remove the turnbuckle pad, but it's not to use it. It's to distract the referee. And now, while the referee is attempting to fix it, Theory looks for a low blow, but Rey counters, and he spikes Theory's head off the mat with a Hurricane Rana. But then, in classic Mysterio style, he lands the Hurricane Rana into the ropes. He propels off, lands the 619, and goes to the top. Rey leaps off with the classic frog splash, gets the pin, and we have a new United States champion. Rey captures the title for the first time since 2020. And the man who he defeated to enter this very match, LWO's own Santos Escobar, is the first person to come out and celebrate with him. Escobar has put Rey Mysterio down. What the hell is this about? Santos picks up the US Championship and says, "This should have been mine." It's jealousy. Rey beats Santos on SmackDown to get the match at SummerSlam. It's a shocking turn of events. And Santos makes it very clear that that championship is firmly in his sights. Just like the championship is in the sights of Jey Uso, who is getting ready backstage before the big main event with Roman Reigns when he's approached by someone he knows very well. Jey, tonight's the night, man. I'm so proud of you. And you know, I hate to say I told you so, but... And Jey agrees. He says, yeah, I know. It was a wild time, man, but thank you for being real. Thank you for always being an Uso. There's no honorary needed anymore. Sammy Uso forever. And also, don't let those Judgment Day fools do that to Kev. Oh, I won't. You just win. You end this the right way. Sammy walks off, and Jey has the title and the mantle of Tribal Chief in his sights. Just like the World Championship is firmly in the sights of Finn Balor as he makes his way towards the ring 7 years after facing Seth Rollins at this very event for the Universal Championship. And while Finn is out there alone, as Seth comes to the ring, he knows damn well that it won't be the case for very long. And the heat between the two is really evident. They, for lack of a better term, burn it down. Rollins is in classic form. He's all over Balor. The Revolutionary is showing why he's a true fighting champion. But as he thought, he was never going to be alone long. Here comes Damian Priest. But people are wondering just why. He is Senor Money in the Bank, after all. But he isn't the only member to come down here. Dominic follows after, but before Dominic even reaches the ring, Sammy attacks from the side. He owes Judgment Day a real receipt for injuring his friend Kevin Owens. He wipes out Dominic, but it still leaves the problem of Priest. But Rollins looks to take care of that himself. He has Balor subdued in the corner and he goes out after Priest. He leaps to the outside, he wipes him out, but then he picks him up. and he nails him with a revolution knee. Rollins now has his opportunity. He loads him up onto the announce table, and Rollins jumps off, but Priest moves. Rollins goes crashing through, and now Priest might have an opportunity. Priest could potentially cash in right now. Balor, he's back up. He grabs Rollins. He sends him into the ring. Priest is a little bit hesitant, but Balor goes to the top, nails a coup de grace, makes the cover, and Finn Balor, 7 years later, beats Seth Rollins at SummerSlam. It's a massive moment. Rhea holds gold, Dominic holds gold, and now Finn Balor holds gold. Everyone in Judgment Day except one. Rhea Ripley, she's up next to face Raquel Rodriguez, but while it's usually customary for the champion to enter last, she had to come out to defuse a potential situation between Priest and Balor. They both cautiously leave the ring, and as Rhea congratulates Finn from inside it, Damien offers to stay at ringside, but Rhea says, "Nah, I've got this. Raquel's on one leg. Soon, she won't be able to walk at all." And Priest and Balor leave ringside. And then Raquel Rodriguez enters and the match gets underway. And Raquel gets off to a solid start. She's clearly hurt, as the knee brace would suggest, but she's able to fight through the pain and get some good offense in on Rhea. And Raquel is all on her own after the disgusting injury sustained to her partner Liv Morgan at the hands of Rhea Ripley. But as we just saw, Ripley is on her own by her own choice. And it's because she knew. All she needed was an opening, and she gets it. Rhea ruthlessly works the leg, absolutely battering the knee. Raquel holds on gallantly. The match comes to a screeching halt when Ripley locks in the prison trap. Gonzalez holds on as long as she can, but resistance is futile. Ripley isn't gonna let go. Raquel taps, purely just to live to fight another day. But Ripley holds on for just that little bit longer, all for good measure, to make sure she wrings out the pain. And as she eventually relents, she holds the title aloft. And now, Judgment Day hold the Women's World Championship, the Men's World Championship, the NXT North American Championship, and Money in the Bank. The stocks are high. Their dominance is undeniable, just like the dominance of the Bloodline, who are now about to be embroiled in tribal combat. Reigns said earlier in the night he didn't want Paul or Solo at ringside. Jay doesn't have Jimmy, and it's one-on-one. It's anything goes. In tribal combat, there are no rules. It's last man standing. It's not only for the Undisputed Universal Championship, but who will be the tribal chief. It's carnage. It's violent. It's personal. Reigns has shown some cracks recently, some weaknesses. But when the heat is on and the bell rings, he's back to form. He cracks everything he can get his hands on over Jay, and they fight all over. They completely trash the ringside area. Jay gets his stuff in as well. He's just as vicious as Roman, because this is as personal as it gets. Roman is constantly reminding Jay that it doesn't have to be like this as well. Jay, just give up. This isn't you. You aren't ready for this. You aren't cut out to be the tribal chief. I made you. The elders, they don't respect you. But Jay isn't hearing this. He breaks away and he starts overwhelming Roman. Reigns is showing the cracks we've seen, the chinks in the armor that have developed without the full bloodline backing, and Jay has him rocked. But despite Roman's orders, Paul panics, and now Paul Heyman comes out. He feels like he needs to do something. But Roman sees this, and he screams at him to leave. This is not the orders. This is not what I said, Paul. Heyman leaves. He's terrified. But it was part of Heyman's plan because now Solo is in the ring. He's going to attack Jay. But just before he does, Roman steps in again and says, "This isn't the plan. I told you to stay away. Tribal Chief's orders." He obeys the Tribal Chief. But how long will he be the Tribal Chief for? Because Jay takes the chance. He hits a super kick. He calls him up. He hits another one. And now he goes to the top. He's gonna do it. He's gonna end all of this. He leaps off for the splash, but gets nailed by a Samoan spike. Solo puts him down. Roman recovers. He lines up Jay, and he delivers a spear. But he rubs salt in the wound. He picks him up, locks in the guillotine. Jay fades out. The match is over. It's a devastating full circle moment. Reigns retains. He has the championship still in his grasp. There is still the true crown of Tribal Chief. Solo grabs the lei and he gets in the ring. Solo drapes it over Roman's neck. Roman still reigns. For now. Solo puts the Tribal Chief down. Solo decides that it is in fact him that wants to dethrone Roman. It is in fact him that wants to be the Tribal Chief. And now Roman is going to have to defend his territory all on his own. He has to do it solo.